Welcome to A2Council Update, a recap of the Ann Arbor City Council meeting on December 2nd, 2024. This meeting included comments and discussion about regulating the placement of solid waste carts away from bike lanes, amending city policy for fences, developer reimbursements, and utilities, accepting a grant to fund electric garbage trucks, assigning appointments for council members and approving a calendar for 2025. And allocations and contracts for the expansion of the Ann Arbor Municipal Airport. This is the voting chart for the council meeting on December 2nd, 2024. 2 agenda items were defeated in split votes. A majority of council rejected 2 contracts related to expansion of the Ann Arbor Municipal Airport. The rest of the agenda was approved unanimously. You can find this voting chart and more information about this meeting at a2council.com. Like and subscribe if you would like to see more content like this. The meeting included a presentation from Stephanie Carter, Chair of the Independent Community Police Oversight Commission, or ICPOC.
It's important for us to do our oversight and look at complaints, and we need to know what's going on. This is under the old policy, no longer in effect, but this is the kind of report that we would get. So we don't know what's going on in this case, and it's hard to do oversight when you don't know what's going on. So we are working with the chief on a new redaction policy. This is the Serious Incident Response Contingency Plan. It defines what a serious incident is, includes loss of life or shooting and so forth, and when such a serious incident occurs, the policy would have a report come to ICPOC so that the community, and then to the community, so the community is aware of what's going on. So that is pending.
After introductory remarks, public comments, and staff explanations, Council discussed agenda items for about 40 minutes. 12 people signed up in advance to offer public comments. 11 people spoke to topics on the agenda. The consent agenda this week included 5 items and expenditures of over $2.4 million. Ahead of the meeting, 1 item was removed. Nothing was pulled for discussion, and all items on the consent agenda were approved unanimously. Council considered final approval for ordinance amendments that will prohibit the placement of garbage carts in city bike lanes. At a public hearing earlier in the evening, a resident offered support.
This has been a sore point with me encountering these bins in bike lanes. Tonight I rode down here along Plymouth Road from the Nixon Green area, and just in the short stretch of Detroit Street and North 5th, I had to swerve around 11 different bins.
Council made statements for about 5 minutes.
The regs, which are written by staff and can change with time without council approval, can be changed because, as we know, we have a number of different configurations and unique cases.
We can look to use the right-of-way for as many purposes as possible in this context, for the efficient collection of solid waste, and of course as part of our crucial transportation network, i.e. bike lanes.
The ordinance amendment was approved unanimously. Council then considered a cluster of ordinance amendments for regulation of fences, fee reimbursements for developments that include affordable housing units, and utility definitions.
Currently, the city offers a 50% reimbursement of application fees to a developer who provides affordable housing as part of a project. Now, currently, developments with any number or percentage, including a single affordable housing unit, are offered reimbursement of 50% of fees paid. On larger projects, this is a lucrative reimbursement. So this is an important move. It would not affect entirely affordable housing developments, but will prorate reimbursements for mixed-use developments or developments that provide affordable housing dwelling units alongside market rate. So fences, you will no longer be able to have fences with sharp edges, barbed wire, or spikes that are not decorative spikes, and you need to get rid of your electrified fence too in a residential neighborhood, according to this amendment. There are a couple of other things about fences that I don't think are interesting. The public, well then, we will just leave public-private utilities to your own research.
The amendments were approved unanimously at first reading. At a future meeting, they will be the subject of a public hearing and final approval at second reading. After a brief introduction, Council unanimously approved the acceptance of grant money to pay for electric garbage trucks previously purchased by the city with climate action millage funds. Council considered a schedule of regular meetings and work sessions for 2025. This calendar helps members of Council anticipate and plan around their meeting responsibilities. Since the election of a unanimous Council in 2022, absenteeism has tripled. Elected representatives have missed an unprecedented number of meetings, with current members missing as many as 11 meetings in the last 2 years. Since November 2022, nearly 60% of Council meetings have included one or more absence. Sometimes both representatives from a given ward fail to attend. Without comment, Council unanimously approved a calendar of regular meetings and work sessions for 2025. After a brief introduction, Council unanimously approved their assignments to serve as liaisons to and members of boards, commissions, and committees. Finally, Council considered 2 related items: a contract for cost sharing and a consulting agreement to move forward with the extension of a runway at Ann Arbor Municipal Airport. Extension of this runway and expansion of the airport has been a topic of debate for at least 50 years, when Republicans on Council advocated for it. In 2013, former Ann Arbor Mayor John Heefja explained that airport expansion was not wanted or needed. This week, public commenters spoke to the issue.
Flying private is the single fastest way for an individual to cook the planet, 10 times faster than flying commercial and 50 times faster than train travel per passenger mile. And global private jet travel is exploding. Some wealthy individuals produce almost 500 times more CO2 in a year than the average person. In my opinion, we should ban private jets at the airport, as some European cities have done. Let's exempt health emergencies like U of M survival flight and donor organ transport. But let's make a statement as a city that we don't welcome the corporate elite and the super wealthy individuals whose luxury flights are helping to destroy the planet. Flying private is emblematic of our many excesses as a society.
11 days ago, I did email my council people, Ward 3, concerning rumors. I'd heard about this, but I'm still awaiting a response, so I'm not all that well informed about what's going on here. The incoming planes that go over my house are unfortunately very often loud, distracting, and annoying. And some days, there's lots of them. I have reason to be very suspicious that any so-called safety improvements at the airport will likely be used as an excuse or pretext to bring bigger, louder, and more numerous aircraft to the airport. This airport proposal sure looks like another giveaway to the airborne convenience of wealthy folks who in most cases don't even live in Ann Arbor.
When a prior resolution was rejected by a bipartisan council a half-century ago, the late Republican council member James Smerick added a postscript requiring that airport expansion not be brought back to council unless significant change had taken place near the intersection of State and Ellsworth roads. Significant change has taken place, and that change makes even more apparent the imperative of rejecting any added capacity to a facility where the volume of aviation operations has declined dramatically. Now business and residential sites surrounding the airport increase in volume and value with every passing year. Today, more housing is under construction at Briarwood and projected more around the 777 building. Pollution of the Huron River and underground water by upriver industrial plants and the Gelman plume make protection of the aquifer underneath our city even more crucial.
I'm a resident of Stonebridge, a University of Michigan School of Medicine professor emeritus of otolaryngology, specializing in audiology, and way back, a former air traffic controller. The extension of the runway east towards Stonebridge, allowing the addition of larger jet aircraft, will result in low-flying twin-engine jets over Stonebridge on final approach, probably 100 feet or less. The environmental study ignored individual noise events associated with a jet coming in for a straight-in approach, landing on the extended runway, and focused on cumulative annual average projections and noise contours.
I am the current chair of the Airport Advisory Committee. The movement of 150 feet will allow line of sight so the air traffic controllers can see the entire taxiway and the intersection. The next part of it is the extension of 720 feet to the approach side of 6, which is towards the southwest. This is essential for us to meet our B2 category standards, which operate at about a 4,200 to 4,300 foot runway for Category 2Bs. We're at the minimum currently now, the minimum standard for that category of an airport. So those two safety mitigations are proactive steps the airport's doing, wants to do, to ensure that we can meet the current safety standards as documented for Category B and the runway incursion problems.
These items appear on tonight's agenda as the safety extension of runway 624. But the FAA says the current runway is already safe. The claim that an expanded runway is for pilot safety because of 12 so-called overruns between 1998 and 2008 is not supported by the facts. Actually, only 2 overruns were significant, and even those planes only ran a few dozen feet off the end of the runway, not justification for a 720-foot runway extension.
Our A2 plan boasts the goal of carbon neutrality by the year 2030. It also recommends a strategy for reaching this goal. The strategy is to reduce the miles we travel in our vehicles, regardless of vehicle type, by 50%. With this goal in mind, it is ironic that DS1 and DS2 have been put on the agenda for City Council's approval tonight, because DS1 and DS2 will move forward a conflicting goal, the goal of reconfiguring and extending the runways of Ann Arbor Airport. This in turn will enable use by larger jets and more jet traffic.
All things considered, I don't understand why we even have a municipal airport. Willow Run serves all of the needs of the Ann Arbor Municipal Airport.
This seems like a fairly mundane change. It does not appear to let larger airplanes use the airport that can't already use it. That said, I don't have strong feelings one way or the other. I ask that you please explore whatever avenues the city may pursue to accelerate the local transition away from leaded gasoline.
By expanding this runway, you're going to make it a safer airport. That's why the word safety is in the package tonight, or on the agenda.
And I regularly fly out of the Ann Arbor Airport. We do aerial survey, and our twin-engine aircraft require the full length of runway 624. We would benefit from having more runway to have a larger safety margin. We would be more comfortable with the proposed enhancements. Ann Arbor runways are the shortest we've ever landed on. And the air traffic control tower, which is located right here, and the line of sight to the hold short area for runway 24 is here. Unless you're right at the hold short line, if there are other airplanes in queue waiting for the runway, the tower controllers cannot see those airplanes, which is a safety issue.
City employee and airport manager Matt Kulhanek offered explanation of the airport's budget impact.
Well, the grant contract only requires a small portion of funds from the city that will come from the airport fund operations maintenance budget. So the estimated construction project on this is about $10 million. Our share won't exceed 5% of that, so about approximately $500,000 will be the local share. Those funds are currently available in the airport operating budget and airport fund balance. Be a immediate or a long-term budget impact. It's funding that's available and already been set aside. From the FAA's perspective, our airport does not meet current FAA design standards. The length is one issue. The tower line of sight is another issue. Obviously, they have design standards for a reason, but our airport does not meet them.
Council discussed the issue for about 30 minutes. Some offered support.
Receiving an investment of this size for around $500,000 while accomplishing all stated goals determined by prior councils for this project and bringing our infrastructure up to modern-day safety and efficiency levels is a lot of bang for our buck.
Current operations have obviously not negatively impacted residential or economic development in the area. Our airport primarily functions as a pilot training facility. These are our neighbors, our colleagues, people that we care about. That includes youth pilots learning the craft. We know that we are already diverting to Willow Run flights that wish to land in Ann Arbor. I would suggest that this is unjust. Redirecting flights over majority Black and Latino neighborhoods where the average home value is under $200,000 because our much more affluent white community does not wish to see or hear them is inappropriate.
And I do appreciate Councilmember Briggs' notes about what it does mean in terms of equity to divert to Willow Run, so thank you for that. And I'm voting yes, by the way.
Other council members expressed opposition.
To me, it seems hypocritical to approve a project that would significantly increase emissions in our area. You know, we do already have Willow Run Airport nearby, which is specifically designed to handle cargo planes. I feel that expanding Ann Arbor's airport for similar purposes is redundant, and it creates unnecessary environmental and quality of life burdens for our neighbors in Pittsfield Township.
We should do this in a way that acknowledges the broader redevelopment and growth in the South State Street area and considers the highest and best use of land in the area, and acknowledges the ongoing expansion and growth of Willow Run.
I'm not sure that a runway extension that the community was interested in pursuing more than a decade ago is something that it continues to wish to pursue going forward.
I don't believe that the stated benefits of the runway expansion outweighs the negative impacts to residents that we heard about in terms of noise.
If some believe that there are negative externalities, why do we believe that it is okay for another community to face those instead of ours? Because we know that those in West Willow are lower income. It is a majority Black community.
We do have those inequities and disparities around the airport as well. I live really close to that, to the airport, and it is the most diverse economically, racially side of our town. I just want us to also acknowledge the fact that there's disparities within our community as well. And this actually happens to be very close to it, in close proximity to it.
You know, I guess I'd like to just hit quite briefly that if the current condition of the airport did not meet FAA safety criteria, the FAA would not permit its operation.
Both the cost-sharing agreement and engineering services contract were defeated, with only council members Briggs, Dish, and Malik voting in support. Council went into closed session for 1 hour and 20 minutes to discuss litigation and a legal memo. The meeting adjourned a little after 10 p.m. with no additional public comment. For more details about this meeting, visit A2Council.com.
Welcome to this week's A2Council Moment of Zen.
If we're going to keep it around, which expanding it would almost certainly mean that we're invested in having this waste of resources for another 50 or so years, then at least let's add something to this bill to say stop selling leaded gasoline.